All right. Everything should be going correctly. This is Totally Normal Politics for the week of January 13th, 2021. I'm your host, Nick, America's Xanax, here in the studio with
Vitaliy, America's sneaker.
Sneakers and Xanax, an apt combo for the state that America's in.
Two things you need right now.
Get running and get sleeping. So, this has been a complete... This is why the show is called Totally Normal Politics, right here.
Because everything has been so normal.
Because things peacefully escalated... I think the best tweet that I heard about the last week was, boy, that sure steadily escalated over 5 years.
It did. For anyone that is surprised by any of the events of the last week, you have not been paying attention for the past 5 years. Because like anyone from the beginning, like if you didn't see this coming from the beginning, you weren't thinking clearly.
Today, America learned that woman who has been drinking throughout her entire pregnancy miscarried the baby. And we're like, oh, word? I mean, she was smoking the Lucky Strikes pretty hard in the third trimester. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this coming, but still people are like, no, like, what? No. I can't believe this happened.
I can't believe it's not butter. So, the American Capitol has been besieged by the silent majority, the silent minority, Antifa.
But they're not silent. The very vocal.
Let's get our ducks in a row here. This is war veteran Antifa sleeper cells who represent, but don't represent, the silent minority of this country. I don't know anymore.
I would say they're like the vocal 15% of Trump Republicans. Because, I don't think all some Trump Republicans, even though their views are what I find to be outlandish, are probably just regular people who don't want to run out and storm the Capitol. But there's like that vocal 15%. They're probably the ones that are doing all the trolling online. I think those are the ones we saw last week.
It's so funny because
every one of those people last week, they probably average 50 memes a day, Trump memes. Like those are all professional memers out there. These guys are. Everyone out there is responsible for 90% of the Trump memes you see on the internet.
It was some real Kekistanis out there getting arrested. Well, no, they didn't. So everyone is caught up. We don't got to rehash the world's news right now. Everyone knows all these people raided the Capitol building, punching out windows, beating a cop to death with a fire extinguisher. Things that I could never imagine getting away with. Because we don't know who beat the cop with the fire extinguisher. We just know it happened. What is his name? Brad Sicknick?
I'm not sure.
And 5 others have died. A man tasered himself in the balls until he succumbed to a heart attack. And his family did their best effort to cover that piece of info up. They were like, oh no, he died of a heart attack. It was crazy. It was like a horde of people. He died of a heart attack. Can we move on? And they were like, he tased his balls! Put that on the newspaper's front page. Idiot tases balls, dies in a pauper's grave. A little mean-spirited, New York Times, I must admit, but that's where we're at right now.
A woman was shot by law enforcement and killed after crawling through a broken window that she was yelled not to crawl through,
right?
Or else.
Ashley Babbitt endured the full weight of having her name spelt in such a ludicrous way. Ashley with just an I? Are you kidding me? And now I'm here wondering, where did she rank in Antifa? Is the Air Force compromised? Is the Air Force the deep state? This is getting very confusing.
They could be. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? Was she a lone Air Forcer? Air Forcer. Is that what they're called?
everyone huddled around Sicknick dying, which I gotta admit, as a man named Nick, I think a guy named Brad Sicknick, that's like a cool name. But everyone huddled around him until we learned that days before succumbing to the mob of his own, like a zombie amidst the crowd, he was writing letters to Trump saying, like, thank you, President Trump, for contesting the election. I'm really happy you did that.
There was the woman that was trampled.
Oh, a woman with the "Don't Tread on Me" flag.
Yes, holding a "Don't Tread on Me" flag was trampled to death. Was
tread upon to death. We live in a post-irony society now. The Ouroboros of comedy has eaten its own tail, and no one knows what's a joke and what's not anymore.
Yeah, that's the trouble with this too, is because what happened last week was like, it's a tragedy, but I can't help but laugh. But it's also like, I don't know, I feel bad at laughing at the deaths of some of these people, but at the same time you're like, this guy was being a dumbass and tasered himself in the nuts and then was too unhealthy to handle being tased, and so he had a heart attack.
Which, he let's just say he died of COVID, like let's just give him
his family
peace of mind, like the ancient Roman soldiers. Let's put 2 coins on his eyes and send him across the river Styx, saying he died of COVID. He didn't tase his ball sack until his heart gave out. This is peak hilarity, though. These people now, a lot of them are military, is what we're finding out. A lot of these people are ex-military, took an oath of office, and then went and busted up the Capitol.
There's a firefighter from Florida who's been suspended without pay as they investigate him because there's photos came out of him at the Capitol. I think there was like a cop from Florida too that was up there, an off-duty cop.
The man who stole the podium was a Floridian.
Yeah, but he wasn't a cop or like a firefighter. But yeah, I think he was from like Bradenton, Florida.
And now we've got Jake Engeli, or I think his name is Jacob Chastity in real life, but the man with the bull horns, which I'm so mad at journalist America over the man with the bull horns. I'm so mad at how overjoyed everyone was to publish that picture, as if we didn't learn anything from the Columbine shooting, as if we didn't learn anything from Virginia Tech, as if we didn't learn anything from the Christchurch massacre, to not glorify monsters.
Did they glorify him? Is posting a picture of him glorifying him?
You're telling me...
I think they were posting a picture of him to make him look like a fool.
They were posting pictures of him to make him seem triumphant. He's flexing. He's scrawny. He's got no muscles, but he's flexing. He's hitting the pose.
I read it as them just showing it how outrageous and funny it was, because this guy's a fool.
Oh man, I would, if I were.
So you saw that man's photo, Nick, and you thought, look at this guy up there just flexing on America.
Yes, I thought that's exactly what did you see how many people when they were raiding the Capitol were on their phones? Were like they were, it was...
Yeah, they were like recording everything as they were doing it.
You would have thought you were in line at Walgreens waiting on your prescription, how many people were just looking at their goddamn phones while they were committing treason against the U.S. Capitol. People are posting, I'm totally in the... Hey, I'm on Snapchat, I'm totally in the Capitol right now. Tell me what I should do. Like... This was so embarrassing. This was embarrassing to me as a man who wants to throw flaming trash cans through windows, who's got a pile of my favorite bricks for when the war comes, a guy who's considered assembling a bug out bag or two, maybe wants to know, maybe I'm considering changing my citizenship from American to Belizean so that I can flee to South America in the event that shit really hits the fan. And then for me to see these people in the Capitals not plug in USB sticks into Nancy Pelosi's laptop and downloading whatever who cares? You're going to jail for the rest of your life. Might as well try to make it to Moscow and sell the secrets for your freedom. What else are you gonna do? You're browsing fucking Reddit on your goddamn phone.
Dude, they were taking like taking selfies. They were taking selfies with cops. Cops were taking selfies with these people. They were probably uploading it real time onto Facebook.
I'm to believe that anybody truly gives a shit about aliens existing. I'm to believe that like anyone really thinks any of this like black site CIA bullshit when seizing the apparatus of power forcibly at the at the condemnation of your own life. These people must have, it's like, I am torching my existence. The man who was seen with his feet on Pelosi's desk, he implied he was intending to die that day. He tweeted, his last tweet before he went in was, I came into this world screaming, wet and covered in someone else's blood, and I'm planning on going out the same way. He gets in there. He's not looking for if JFK was really assassinated. He's not trying to figure out where Jeffrey Epstein is, because we know he's still alive. These people are on their fucking phones, tweeting at idiots. I'm furious.
Well, Nick, I think
I'm throwing my my tinfoil hat away. My ham radios are going in the trash. I'm pulling the fillings out of my teeth. I'm not believing in any of this shit anymore. I don't understand. Area 51, as far as it doesn't exist. It was all a false flag scam.
Well, they should have raided Area 51. Now, seeing how easy it was to raid the Capitol.
No, none of these people care about any of this shit. It's all because they want to just wear hats with like the beers in it and stuff. It's all that. It has no one's looking for the real answers.
No, but I think what's worse about all this is the fact that the seat of power for what's supposed to be the most powerful nation in the world was invaded by like drunk idiots with Trump hats. The concentration of power is like, that's where the most powerful people in the world supposedly sit. And this building was raided, and they had to scurry and scatter away from these people. That's like, how does that happen? We have how much money do we give to the military? I know it's all separate, but for a country with that large of a defense budget, and you can't guard effectively the doors to the capital of the United States, what? I
mean, even considering how much money we give to the NSA, CIA, and FBI to after the Ferguson protests, I remember hearing that it's like the military's hiring this evil, they're hiring Palantir, this baby blood drinking company that's gonna make a database of AI to like map the eye sockets and the nose bridge of every fucking American on Earth so that we can have like the most comprehensive neural network of cognitive power. Like all these bullshit buzzwords. 100,000 people are like, I'm gonna go to the US Capitol and set shit on fire, and everyone in law enforcement's like,
we didn't know about it. We had no idea.
This is all bullshit.
Even though they probably made these plans on Facebook Messenger. They're live tweeting as they're storming the Capitol. We're storming the Capitol, and law enforcement's like, oh, what's going on?
It's it reminds me of when you're trying to do something silly and you're trying to do it really well, sometimes you focus on the wrong things. I remember when I was like 19 and first selling weed at first, I was like making like spreadsheets of like, what are my buying margins? I was like, I can't get fucked over on price. I got to be able to keep track of like which suppliers have got the best prices so that I can, and I literally was making up Excel spreadsheets, putting in all this data. Like, all this data is going to help me. All these numbers. I'm going to crunch the numbers. I'm going to outnumber crunch all the other drug dealers. And it's like, no, just sell more weed. Just buy more weed and sell more weed. And you're thinking about it too hard. And our entire criminal justice system has taken so much of our money and turned it into such an apparatus. Oh, it's so expensive and big because you don't understand it, but it protects you. This thing keeps you safe. I know it costs a lot of money, but do you even know what is AMN algorithms? Do you, sir? I don't think so. Do you know what transit control protocol, internet protocol is, sir? And you're like, oh, the big words. And so, yeah, so give me the money and I will keep you safe with my loony brain machine. And today we learned that you can just we learned today that Mitch McConnell is only alive because of the mercy of the people who walked up to his front door. Because Mitch McConnell, if they wanted to cut your fucking head off with a lawnmower blade, we learned that they could have. They could have done it 100 times. They could have probably killed the cops that came to save you. I don't get how we don't become a military state just to, counter the feelings that I have as a non-participant in this. Because I feel like I could flip a car now.
Well, I don't know. I think what we also learned is that maybe we just don't use the resources of our military state on people that you agree with.
Where are the grenade launchers? Where are the MRAPs?
Nick, how many videos came out with the videos of people in the Capitol Police moving the barricades, taking selfies? If a portion of the law enforcement agrees with the fucking radical Trumpers, then is law enforcement doing anything anymore at that point?
I feel so alone on this. I see this video of this guy, the black cop in the stairwell, and he's standing there and he's like, step back, and all the people keep walking towards him, and he puts his hand on his gun and he's like, step back, stay back, and he runs up and grabs his baton and he considers swinging at one of them, but they keep walking towards him. And sure, it's a miracle that no one got hurt, I guess, but I'm there sitting there at home for the first time in my life, feeling vindicated and saying, just open fire into this crowd. Kill these people. Kill them dead. Why not? Why? What? I know I'm yelling for the sanctimonious bloodshed of Americans upon Americans, but whatever. I've never gotten one of these in my entire life. When people were cheering the war in Iraq, they're like, whoa, we blew up a wedding. I was like, this doesn't feel good, though. For me, it doesn't feel good for Nick. When we killed Osama bin Laden, Morgantown, West Virginia was setting couches on fire. People were celebrating so hard. And I'm like, I don't know, though. This doesn't feel like I got one. And so I'm here seeing this black cop stare down 5 white teenagers, and he's like, don't take another step, and they take another step, and I'm licking my lips. I'm like, all right, let's fucking do this. Let me see what white people have been feeling for the last couple hundred years. Let Nicky get a taste of this.
But you knew that wasn't going to happen.
I am the most angry man in America at that particular cop who is being hailed as a hero. I'm so vindictively angry at him in particular for robbing us of this moment.
What we learned is during this incident also is that cops are capable of de-escalation and not using force. They use it only with people that they tend to agree with.
We learned to cut their budgets for implicit bias training because cops don't have an implicit bias. They have an explicit bias, and that's people that they think are cool. And if a cop thinks you're cool, he will not shoot you even if you are beating his friend to death with a fire extinguisher. Because he's like, no, there's still good in him. There's still good in this guy. It's like an ex-girlfriend, you know? You're like, I can turn her around, though. I can, maybe there's something there. Maybe there's still something there, Wanda. You know? And we learned that cops don't need further de-escalation training. Cops are capable of de-escalating. They choose not to. So cops don't need bias training. They don't need de-escalation training, and they don't need lethality training. Cops can be non-lethal. They know their biases. They are particular about their biases. And they know how to de-escalate, so they've been lying. They've been lying and taking our tax money this entire fucking time. Cops have been lying about how horseshit they are, how bad every cop has been pretending to be bad at their job. And this was a time when it proved it.
Listen, we learned that, cops think it's bad to light a target on fire if you're protesting police brutality, but it's totally cool if you raid the seat of Congress because you're protesting Trump losing. That's what we learned.
Yeah, it's very... What gets me also is that conservatives... And at this point, you know, I try to both sides a lot of issues because I'm from a place where... you know, you make some enemies talking the way that I talk down here up in West Virginia. But I'll be real, like, the fact that conservatives still describe the riots as like, this is just like BLM. This isn't stuff we do. They keep describing it. They're like, this is left-wing people riot. We don't riot. That's, like, they still say to this day... Like, you're acting like the left when you riot. You're acting like them when you do this. It's like, no, you guys are just doing this. We don't riot like this. We don't all get in pickup trucks. The left doesn't all get in pickup trucks and drive around for hundreds of miles shooting coal into the air. We don't do shit like that. You guys riot. You guys riot your own way at sports bars and shit like that. But it happens. It's insane to me that there's still people who are like, this is a left thing. The way that you're acting like those people on the left. And it's like, yeah, why don't you say they're acting urban while you're at it, you know?
Well, I mean,
do you remember
the distinction that's being drawn is like, it's bad to riot if you're black and you're angry about police killing you. It's cool to riot if the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's...
Are you being murdered at an alarming rate by law enforcement? Not cool. Did the Eagles win the Super Bowl? Super cool. Do whatever you want. Light the whole city on fire.
And the justice system cognitive dissonance is also a funny one to me. Because, I don't know, it's very funny that both sides are protesting that the justice system doesn't serve them. But for one side, they're like, for 400 years, this justice system was working. And then, approximately a month and a half ago, this justice system stopped being legitimate. And the other side's like, have you considered that it was as fucked up as you think, like...
Three months ago, when the orange man I worship lost, the justice system stopped working.
It's because the revelations that they're making, it's like these judges aren't even making decisions based on the cases. These are activist judges who are just making decisions based on how they feel and from the outside appearances of how their constituents could interpret the case. And it's like, if I give you that, will you admit that they've always been doing that? For everything down to the traffic tickets all the way up to white-collar crime. If I give you this, you're still wrong. The election was not fraudulent. But I'll admit to that. If you just admit that it's always been that way. And that's what's so funny is you would think that the black community would be like, doesn't the justice system, like, isn't it like a bizarre abstraction of the will of the rich? And they're like, no, wait, no, it's just this
one thing.
This very complicated, nuanced election law stuff about, like, that's what's so crazy to me is it's like, you'd think you could say, hey, a dude in Nevada, the police knocked on his door, he opened it, and they shot him dead. And it's like, you have a problem with that? And it's like, no. And it's like, all right, but you do have a problem with the fact that the Pennsylvania Republican State Senate in 2016 voted to change the deadline for absentee ballot approval, but then that deadline, they challenged it in 2018, and then a Pennsylvania judge rejected their challenge, which allowed Joe Biden... It's like, that is the flaw. That is when the justice system starts to to derelict upon their duties to you. That's when it started, like... knock on your door, your husband opens the door, the police shoot him dead, and it's like, no, but you don't understand. The people of Montgomery County, they don't understand. It's such a bizarre needle being threaded.
But it's not it's like, it's not bizarre in the sense that you know what they're doing. They're just mad that their guy lost. Like they're not questioning the integrity of an election where a Republican representative won by 77 votes and beating a Democrat. They're not like, oh well, are we sure that Republican won? We got to be certain that these votes are accurate. They're only pissed off in the races that they lost. No one's being like, that representative in Miami, that Republican that won by literally 4 votes,
running with another candidate who had a fake name.
Yeah, no one's like investigating that for election fraud because the Republican won. They don't fucking care. It's not about fraud. It's not about democracy being stolen from you. You're pissed that like your guy lost, and you don't think. If your guy doesn't win, then you don't believe in democracy. That's what they're saying. They're like, we lost, so democracy, fuck it. Like, no, we need to win.
Yeah, I don't. What percentage of America do you think is legitimately mentally unwell? Like, let's get real here.
Everyone.
Not those herky-jerky teenager edgelord. Everyone's fucking crazy, man. But, like, really, in the same way that the other day...
Okay, so I'm not gonna say that Americans are unwell. I'm gonna phrase it as saying there is a large percentage of Americans that have fallen trap to, like, the social media... news, like fake news black hole.
See,
there have been people that I don't think were ever properly equipped to deal with like the whole of the giant black hole of falsehoods that exist on the internet.
See, we're both in the minority because we've both been to college, which means that we're in the it's only a third of Americans go to college.
It's probably higher nowadays because everyone goes to college. Not everyone. I mean,
I think it's only like a third of Americans go to college.
I bet it's more like 50%.
All right, I hope. But the first thing that really happens in college is you have to develop like a fact-finding apparatus. You have to...
I don't think you need to go to college to do that.
But that's like the first thing you do in college is you get a history teacher that tells you some dumb shit, and then you're like, huh? And he's like, yeah, we'll prove it. And then you're like, oh, prove it. And he's like, yeah, like prove it, but like not by referencing someone else's work.
I think we're giving too much credit to all college students for also being intelligent, because I think as much of the percentage of college students is
most college students fail. Isn't it? It's like 60% of college students fail. I did. So like, well, I'm back in school now, but I'm saying like.
Anyway, so you're saying that you just think a large percentage of Americans don't have the necessary tools to tell fact from fiction?
No, I think that it's like the type of people that get to the levers of political power are inherently very good at interacting with the type of people that don't. In the same way that, like, being a mechanic is all of, like, a war of information. It's all you going in and you're like, I hope this man doesn't abuse me with how much more info he has on the matter at hand than me. And the mechanic's like, I'm going to fuck you up with how much info I have that you don't, because this is a war of information and I can extract money from you based on your lack of info. And so I think that Democrats have this bad habit of being like, everyone's kind of like us, right? And it's like, no. And I don't know. I think that there's just too many college Democrats, maybe. I think that I think that the Democrats who aren't in college are the type of people that admire people that went to college. You know? They think that I don't know. It's really weird, but I can't think of how to get past this bizarre. There are people that were at the riot that think Antifa started the riot. There were people that like entered the building.
There were people that were there that I thought that was just like the spin on it. People, like fucking Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity were just like, it was Antifa.
No, there are people who were there who are like, there was definitely Antifa agitators in there. And then there's Ted Cruz's constituents who are angry at him for calling them terrorists. And they're like, I thought you said that we needed to stop this terrible thing that was happening. We're at like a bizarre...
Ted Cruz is like, listen, all you folks that I've been supporting this whole time, I still support you, but you're terrorists. But also, I still love you, but you're terrorists. But please vote for me again soon.
This whole debate's come weirdly down to, should we... This whole thing has come down to, are you lying or not? Across the entire Republican, it's like, do you think the election was being stolen? Because if you think the election was being stolen, then these people are not unreasonable for being like, we got to stop this. This is crazy.
Yeah, so I think we got to where we got last week, January 6th. That day happened because for 5 years, Republicans they've been going along with the Trump narrative. Every wild conspiracy theory and untruth and lie that's come out of the Trump White House, Republicans have never denounced anything, and they've always gone with it and been like, yeah, actually that might be true. Like when the election fraud shit started coming up, Republicans were never like, no, that's not true. They were just like, yeah, you know what? It could be. Like, we don't know. We got to investigate. They went along with, they never killed the lies, so the lies just grew to larger and larger proportions. If from the get-go people had like spoke truth to power and just been like, no, none of this is true, like shut up, like it would have stayed in its like weird internet chat rooms, but it would have never made it online, or like it would have never made it in real life. I don't think.
Yeah,
I think Republicans just constantly being like, maybe deep state,
we
stop
gotta
the
count
steal,
every legal vote. That was their line. We got to count every legal vote. And it's like, well, that's like saying only citizens should be allowed to vote. And you know what? Those citizens better be American. And it's like, what are you saying? What is this? I know that you're not saying that you're mad at Mexican people, but that's like a really roundabout way of saying get mad at Mexican people for some reason. Like, hey, did you vote? Did you vote in this election legitimately? Are you angry at the illegitimate citizens, so-called citizens, who claim to be Americans who also voted in this election? And it's like,
can you believe, like, I mean, their argument has been like, in fucking Michigan, the argument was like, Donald Trump would have won Michigan if it hadn't been for those 10 million black people that voted in Detroit.
But they can't say that, so they're like, if it wasn't for that thing that happened in Detroit, the one with the shoes and the music, if that thing hadn't happened, things would be going way different for you and your family. And it's like, all right, man, you're like, I know you're not trying to make anyone mad, but it seems like that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, I mean, that's the argument. Like, their argument was like,
to Philadelphia as those other people in Pennsylvania.
They're like, yeah, I mean, all those illegitimate votes in Atlanta, Philadelphia, and Detroit.
What you know what goes on in those cities when those types of voters vote. Those black Democrats. Those urban Americans. It's like, you're simple folk out there in Dumont County, Pennsylvania. Do you really want some person from Philadelphia running your life? Do you want some person from Philadelphia telling your daughter what she should wear? It's like, oh man, you guys have found very creative ways of like not being racist.
Yeah, I mean, all of it just goes back to like this weird, I don't know, man. I don't know if people believe these lies. Maybe if you read it enough and just tell yourself it's true enough, you start to believe it.
But they lost Georgia.
No, because they only lost Georgia because Democrats in Atlanta voted. If Democrats in Atlanta hadn't voted, they wouldn't have lost. You see?
Okay. Oh, yeah, you really summed that up for me. All right, I guess Savannah, Georgia. I guess DeKalb and Cobb and all those other counties. All right. No, it's the deep state. You're right. The fix was in.
No, I've seen interviews, like when Jordan Klepper on The Daily Show does his like interviews where he's purposely trying to make a fool of somebody at like a Trump rally. But like, he asked these questions and like some guy's explanation was like, yeah, if we hadn't counted those Democratic votes, we would have won the election. And it's like, okay, I get you. So if you don't count all the votes, if we only count yours, you win. Yeah, obviously. That's what you want. Only your votes to be counted. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. Let's do that next time. I mean, that's the argument here.
Yeah, what are we going to call January 6th? Is it going to be the Great White Guilt? The white... I think of it as the white privilege. Like, in my mind, it's like, oh, well, you remember when the white privilege happened? Remember when all those people committed that crime and were allowed to, like, go home? And regardless of all of this...
I'm going to call it the most embarrassing revolution in human history. in the sense of not like embarrassing on... Not on the Trumpers. Like, it's not embarrassing for them. It's embarrassing that what's supposed to be the most powerful government that's ever existed had a bunch of drunk people wearing MAGA hats storm the fucking gates and get in.
Yeah, I
think that's pathetic for America. Imagine, like, all the other capitals in the world must have been watching this and they're like, are you serious? Like, is that how easy it is? Russia's watching, Putin's, like, watching that and he's like, oh, fuck, like, really?
Are you kidding me? If I was Putin, if I'm Putin, if I'm Xi Jinping, if I'm...
Putin's like, so I can just roll into D.C.
Duarte?
I can just roll into D.C., walk into the Capitol, and fucking, like, take over? Is that all I have to do?
This is what gets me so fucking hard. With Pelosi's laptop being missing now, who knows where it went? If I'm Putin, if I'm Xi Jinping and I'm seeing this riot happening on TV, on live stream, I see those barricades open, I'm picking up my big red phone and I'm like connecting to one of my sleeper cell agents in DC and I'm like, niet, yes, get to Capitol now, niet. And he's getting down there, he's snatching Pelosi's laptop, he's bugging Chuck Schumer's shit, he's putting fucking GoPros up in all the toilets, he's in and out. And while you're looking for some asshole who's dressed like a fucking chupacabra or something, while you're looking for the guy in the Chewbacca mask,
your guy has like downloaded every hard drive in the fucking Capitol.
You think China doesn't have a guy in DC right now, like 100 feet from the Capitol? There's a billion of them. That's the most racist thing I've said. There's probably a Chinese person in this room. There's so goddamn many of them. No, but I'm saying, I'm not faulting Xi Jinping. If I was watching that shit go down on live TV and I'm like, the barricade's down, and it's like, oh, okay, I'm picking up my phone and I'm like, yeah, Johnny Lee, you get in there. You snatch up as much shit as you can. You grab as much paper. They left the emails open, bro. They didn't even hit Windows L, the 2-button combination to lock the computer. They didn't have fucking time, apparently. I can't believe this. This is the biggest national security risk that's ever occurred, ever, bar none. I can't believe it. I have every reason to believe that there was Iranian, Filipino, Egyptian, like Chinese, Russian, Kazakhstani, every kind of sleeper cell agent. Everyone who's got a fucking embassy in or around Washington, D.C. had their fucking boys raid our Capitol that night.
They all put on a flannel shirt, some camo pants, and a MAGA hat, and they just walked straight into the Capitol.
Fucking Saudi Arabian spy under the name Gus Grandel just fucking walked right into the goddamn Capitol, picked up Nancy Pelosi's fucking laptop, and walked out like an asshole.
Flying a rebel flag while he's doing
walked right to the fucking Reagan airport, got on a plane, and set off across the ocean. And everyone, well, it'll come up. The FBI's asking TikTok to help them catch these people. AT&T knows every goddamn phone that went in and out of that building. They have the geofencing. They have the data. They know what is going on. This is clown world. Once again, we've entered clown world.
No, I mean, it's...
How did this happen?
I don't know how... the American government can reconcile with the fact that they let QAnon conspiracy theories march into the Capitol.
Hopefully just that.
Senators and representatives were hiding under desks and running for their lives away from conspiracy theorists that had invaded the Capitol. Like, I can't say this enough. The nation that's supposed to be the most powerful in the world was overtaken in their capital by conspiracy theorists. It's like, it's like, why doesn't Putin just fucking march into the fucking the United States and take over the Capitol? Like, what's going on?
Just put them all in flannel shirts and trucker hats, and the police. That's you know what? That's how the next Crystal Knot's gonna happen. It's gonna be a bunch of people pretending. All you need is some truck nuts. Just put some truck nuts on your fucking whip, and they'll never suspect that you're putting napalm in the Capitol building.
Or leaving bombs at the Republican and Democratic National
Committee
offices.
This is some fun shit. So they built a gallows for Mike Pence out of 2x4s because rednecks love 2x4s. I don't know there's 4x4s. There's other lengths of wood that you can use, but they build him a gallows out of 2x4s.
I mean, I think you would need some 4x4s if you're trying to build a proper gallows, because
Yeah.
you want a thicker post in the middle, would you not?
2x4s, bro. What are you talking about? We're coming from Lowe's. We're not coming from Home Depot.
All right, okay, 2x4s.
Did you see the gallows
I
thing?
did not.
It's like 550 paracord and shit. It's like, okay, you made a gallows in a Walmart. Like inside a Walmart.
So it's not like do you think it's a gallows that could actually hang Mike Pence, or it would just break if
when they wheeled a guillotine in front of Jeff Bezos' house? That was a functioning guillotine. That was like, fuck around, find out, Jeff Bezos. We'll kill you with this guillotine.
When did they do that?
They did that about 5-6 months ago. When it was announced that Jeff Bezos had made like $80 billion since quarantine.
Well, but the thing is, I feel pretty confident that now we know Jeff Bezos probably has better security than Mike Pence.
Yeah, if you approach Jeff Bezos' house with a can of spray paint, you'd be mostly bullets with a little bit of human left.
Whereas if you try to raid the Capitol and attack Mike Pence, cops will take selfies with you.
If you try to zip tie Nancy Pelosi's hands and ankles behind her back and put an apple in her mouth and then roast her over a fire like a pig, you'll get about 9 steps into that 12-step plan before the U.S. government actually says, hold up, wait a minute, pal, what's going on here? All right. You're at her office door and you've got the zip ties and the apple. All right, wait, hold up now, pal. Hold up, Buster.
I don't know. I mean, as we've found out now, they probably you won't hear anything until a week and a half later when the FBI calls you and they're like, "Hey, did you just checking in?"
Some people on TikTok referred us to your criminality.
Yeah. So we heard that you were involved in storming the Capitol. We're just checking in, seeing if it was you.
I don't know how the police this is how I know I'm wrong, is because I bet a year from now the Capitol Police somehow increases their budget. Somehow they like get another tank and they get like grenade launchers that they're never going to use unless it's black people. They're going to be like, "Wow, we got like a new helicopter with Gatling guns and stuff. It's great for shooting at black people." But nothing's going to change from this. They're not... Unless every single cop in the Capitol Police who didn't vote for Trump is... Every cop in Capitol Police who voted for Trump needs to be investigated. And I don't care how fascist that makes me sound. They let an insurrection happen because they thought it was their pals. I know that there was a lot of cops on the Donald.win. I go there. I'm pretty sure I've talked to Capitol Police on the Donald.win. So they knew. They were like, they wanted Pelosi dead. And Pence, they don't care. And what's interesting now is the Republicans...
So I mean, at this point, you've not only reached, like... You're reaching, like, conspiracy and treason. Like, at that point, like, it's not just at that point, it's no longer just differing political opinions. At that point, you're a law enforcement officer who has decided that your political leanings justify you to break the law and allow a fucking insurrection to happen.
Which cops have always believed. But now we've put them... It's a ha, we tricked you into telling on yourselves, you dumb motherfuckers. Because we've always known this. Everyone's always felt this. Everyone since Rodney King has felt this. But now it's like you guys went and proved it again. So every cop who's been like, oh, it's so hard to be a cop. Oh, my God. All the cops in Seattle are quitting because it's so hard to be a cop. Tell them to quit. Fucking quit. Go take your shit to some small town where your name doesn't mean shit. And then let Seattle hire some new people under new rules who don't know of the fucked up way it used to be. All the cops who talk about the good old days, it's like, fuck them. Fire any cop that talks about the good old days. On principle. Because at this point, it's like, yeah, we need like a whole new thing. You guys really screwed the pooch in the last 2 years on this whole... I don't see how... I have cops in my family. I don't see how you can justify their budgets after this. It's like, you guys really are playing this whole, like, state. You guys really are some of the biggest welfare queens. I just wish you guys it felt like cops were solving problems. That's really it. As these murders go up and as the robberies and the thefts go up and the police try to point to it as like, we need more money. And it's like, I'm just firmly convinced you all are spending the money on jetpacks and golden teeth and bullshit. I think probably putting rims on your cop cars. I don't know.
I think one of the problems here in America we face is that the thousands of cop and FBI and CIA TV shows that come on CBS, NBC, and fucking Fox have convinced us that cops are actually solving crimes. Like, we you watch like CSI and you're like, oh yeah, I mean, they're going through great lengths to solve these murders. It's like, no, they're not really doing that in real life. If they can't solve that murder in fucking 6 hours, they're like, oh, whoop.
If I can't solve this murder before my lunch break, I'm sorry about your daughter, miss.
If there's not an innocent person within 15 feet of this crime scene that I can pin the crime on, we're done.
And I know we don't have any cop listeners on this show, maybe, but I genuinely want to ask, has anyone ever had their stolen property returned to them by the police? Ever? Even if you're like, hey,
all right, I know one person.
You know one person who's like, they stole my grandmother's cello, and then I got it back.
One of my friends, his car was stolen while he was on a pizza delivery. His phone was still in the car, so they used the Find My iPhone app and located his car not even 30 minutes later, and there was 2 teenagers in the car. Okay, so I know the point you're trying to make, but I just wanted to say that I know one person whose property was returned.
And so your friend, if he had just another friend, he could have accomplished the same. He could have been like, hey, let me see your phone. Let me find my iPhone and go to my car.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he didn't need the cops. He could have just found his car himself.
All right. It's nice. I guess it's incidentally okay that the cops were at that exchange.
But yeah.
It's all ruined. Everything's ruined. The Republican Party's ruined. The Democratic Party might be ruined. You know, Joe Biden's getting a little he's getting a little too friendly with the corporatists. But the Republican Party is absolutely ruined. Ted Cruz, is he ruined?
Well, the Republican Party is tearing itself in half. Like, who would have thought 2 years ago that Brian Kemp would become part of the deep state and a villain in the Republican Party? Like, who would have thought even 3 weeks ago that the vice president, Mike Pence, the man who has played the most loyal lapdog to any president ever, would be thrown under the bus, become part of the deep state, and have Republicans calling for his execution?
Yeah, they want to kill him. They want to actually kill him dead.
The Republican, yeah, like a man who has done everything that the president has said of him, except for this one last thing, is now thrown under the bus and now evil. Like, the Republicans are eating their own left and right like nobody's business.
And we're doing the same. We're just a little bit more graceful about it. We got AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. We got a good list of people to kill the old heads of the Democratic Party. The problem is the Republicans are looking towards people like Josh Hawley.
Yeah, but
Lorena
I'm
Bobbitt.
not trying to. I don't want Nancy Pelosi to die. I just want her to go back to California and never come out of her house so that we don't have to see her anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want my Nancy Pelosi prematurely dead, but she's like in her 70s or 80s, so any death that happens is firmly out of my hands at this point. So, yeah, kill her. It's like not when I say kill her, I mean like God or Satan, whoever handles that, the Grim Reaper. But she's had a good run, you know. She's fine. She doesn't have to be around much longer.
No, but see, I think that kind of fracturing in the Democratic Party is different than the fracturing the Republicans are seeing. Like, we're just mad at Nancy Pelosi because she's old and out of touch, and we're like, you're a shitty Democrat.
No, because she's ruining things because she doesn't want there to be a successor. Nancy Pelosi, it's as if you were to tell a woman, like, pick the woman in this room who can most effectively destroy you. And she's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to pick... Like, Nancy Pelosi hates how cool AOC is. She hates it from the bottom of her heart. At the last, like, congressional muster or whatever, Nancy Pelosi was trying to dance to some fucking song to some Baby Shark or some shit, and AOC's there, like, crip walking around her, like... Nancy Pelosi felt like an idiot. She hates AOC for how cool she is. She hates how in touch with the kids Ilhan Omar is. She hates... all of that shit. Chuck Schumer's the same way.
Let's get back on track, Nick, here.
No, but they hate these. They hate this. The idea that Nancy Pelosi's like, well, if I die, the next like 4 people in power are all like over 70. Because it's got to be that way, right? And it's like, no, you should have groomed 5 successors who are all like under 50 years old. But you haven't. You've been at war with the far left wing of the party because you hate how cool they are. And you hate that no one wants to come to your big, stupid mansion. You're there and you're like, I've got the best hors d'oeuvres. I've got the finest wine. Why is everyone going to AOC's party? She's serving drinks out of red Solo cups. And it's like, yeah, because she's fucking fun. God damn it. She plays better music. No one cares about your fucking skeet shooting range or whatever the fuck. Or your wine vineyard shit. And that's what Nancy Pelosi's bringing out. And it's like annoying. It's so annoying that Pelosi and Schumer will ruin the Democratic Party before they admit that no one likes them, no one cares about anything they have to say, and everyone thinks that their ideas are bad. And Pelosi won't admit that the Democratic control of the House shrunk under her run. Like, you could tell her a straight fucking fact like that. Like, Pelosi, did the Democrats gain or lose more House seats under your control? And she'll be like,
Nick.
Joe Biden's president, so I think we should focus on the fact that we won the president. It's like, you won't even fucking admit that you did your job bad. You won't say it.
You know, you're right, and I get it. But let's focus on the task at hand, Nick.
Right.
The Republican Party is eating its own, and last week, a small percentage of it invaded the Capitol of the United States. I think whatever is happening in the Republican Party is significantly a little more off the charts than the troubles the Democratic Party is having.
But that's like a trailer park fight. It's like, okay, yeah, that's super entertaining. It's the same as Trump, though, where Trump is super entertaining, but real talk, after like November 15th, you wouldn't be wrong of being like, oh, I just set up like a filter to just filter that word out.
Okay, that's what I think is terrible. I know that a lot of people that like voted for like Trump and like Trump, they like him because they think he's entertaining. How? I don't fucking get it. I've watched Trump before. I'm like 2 minutes in. I can't, it doesn't keep my attention. I think it's boring and stupid, and I hate the way he talks.
He said to Mike Pence the day of January 6th, he said to Mike Pence, when this vote comes, are you going to be a patriot or a pussy? And you're like, did he say those words in the Oval Office? And he's like, yeah. He leaned over his desk and said to Mike Pence, are you going to be a patriot or a pussy?
Yeah, that's stupid.
But that's like so many people's like pro wrestler WWE brand of stupid, man. That is so fucking funny. That's why Joe Rogan votes for Trump. Is because he hears that and he's like, he called Mike Pence a pussy. That's funny. Ha.
I'm gonna vote for the guy who talks like a
I
bad.
guess I
like
hate abortion now.
But that's dumb. Like so. You think Trump is cool because he talks like a badly written line out of like an action movie?
Because he called Mike Pence a pussy. And that's what people don't want to hear. Oh, well, you need to think about bald eagles and amber waves of grain, and you need to open up your heart to the people. Like, it's like, do your job, you pussy. And that's how everyone who's got a set of truck nuts, that's what they would have said. That is verbatim what they would have said. They heard that and they're like, Trump took the damn words out of my gosh darn mouth. And that's why he's their guy. Because he shits in a gold toilet. He didn't grow up in a trailer park, but somehow he's got trailer brain.
That's dumb. They like him because he says curse words?
Look at the last 4 years and tell me that you're not seeing this.
No, I know you're right. I'm just, I know everything.
I hate that I'm right.
No, everything you said is correct. It's just like, I'm like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
You like the president who also
tells it like it is.
Who talks like a dumbass? Like, okay, the man or woman who is president isn't supposed to be some like cool chill person that can smash a Budweiser with you and I don't know, talk about big boobs.
Well, that was Bill Clinton's appeal.
That's a dumb appeal to look for in a president,
right? And then he raped a bunch of people. So
I want a president that I cannot relate to in any way. This president needs to speak 10 languages, know everything. Like, why do you need to?
Oh, you want like Dan Pfeiffer as a president?
No.
Some guy. Yeah, I'm Mia Farrow's a pool boy.
I'm not looking for like the chill guy that's fun to drink with as president. Like, I'm looking at a guy that can
I want an Angela Merkel.
Country.
Like, I want Germany's Angela Merkel, where it's like, well, she was like, she was a physicist at her academy, and we started to wonder if she was a robot because of how few emotions she had, but she's super smart, and it's like, that's what I want.
See, that's what I'm saying.
That's what I want, is like almost an automaton.
No one's talking about how Angela Merkel is a fun person to hang out, and they like the way she gives it to you straight. Like, no one's like, you know what? I'd like to grab a beer with Angela Merkel and have her give it to me straight.
Now, I'm gonna undo you here because a lot of people voted for Obama because he's got a jump shot.
But Obama also did know what he was talking about.
No, but they didn't vote for him because of that. They voted for the jump shot. Hey, you gotta accept that, dude.
I mean, okay, I guess that's what we vote presidents for, really. I mean,
Bill Clinton's saxophone.
Didn't we vote for George Bush because
you could have a beer with him?
Yeah.
If you couldn't have a beer with George Bush, I don't know what you could do with him.
No one wanted to hang out with HW, though. No one was trying to hang out with George HW.
No, everyone just hated Jimmy Carter or something. Who did HW?
Carter. Bob Dole.
Bob Dole, yeah. I'm sorry, I mixed up. Jimmy Carter lost to Nixon?
No, he lost to Reagan.
Yeah, okay.
And re-election, yeah.
I'm mixing these all up. I don't care.
Do you think people wanted to hang out with Reagan? You think people were like, Reagan would be a guy I want to have a beer with?
From what I understand, after Reagan survived getting shot in the heart, that like turned his entire political career around for some people.
Yeah.
That was his, like, he survived. He's a survivor. I want my president to be a sax-playing survivor with a jump shot who's funny.
I think Nixon probably would have been a fun guy.
That's Dan Crenshaw's. Dan Crenshaw's got a glass eyes eye, wearing a fucking Solid Snake eye patch, looking like he's tactical and shit. Like he's jumping out of airplanes for ad campaigns for Donald Trump to try to steal the Georgia election. Have you seen Texas's Dan Crenshaw? The guy with the fucking eye patch?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what the hell? Like, what kind of, like, Nazi villain from, like, an 80s action movie are you pretending to be with that shit, dude? My brother's got a glass eye. Get over yourself, dude. Like, I couldn't even imagine my brother, like, yeah, they call me Eye Patch now. Looking like the sniper from Ghost in the Shell on some dumb shit. Fucking so mad about Dan Crenshaw's eye patch.
I think I would drink with Nixon. When I think of Nixon, I think of Nixon from Futurama. So the head of Nixon.
There are so many people that I would struggle to not feel like I had to assassinate. Like I couldn't if I was in a room with Nixon, I couldn't not beat him to death with my hands.
Would you?
I would feel like I had to. For opening up China.
What if it wasn't? What if it wasn't full Nixon? What if it was only the head of Nixon?
All right, wait, we gotta speed this up. Yeah. This is getting long in the tooth. All right, so Lorena Bobbert's in trouble for trying to bring her handgun into Congress.
Lorena Bobbert, that's a representative
from Colorado. She's that QAnon idiot.
She the reason that Congress installed metal detectors this week?
Yeah. I don't gonna give her too much time. There's bigger things that happen. There's impeachment.
That is going on as we speak, Nick. So far, 10 Republicans have come out and said they will vote with Democrats to indict Trump.
I don't want to tell Joe Biden to sticky note, to use some office speak. Hey, let's sticky note that and double click it later. But Joe Biden, like, yeah, impeach Trump, take his pension away, make him criminally liable, take away his Secret Service so that he can be killed. And
I mean, he won't be killed. He'll just have to pay for his own security service out of pocket.
Take away his money so that he cannot afford his security service so that he can be But
I mean, he wouldn't. The Proud Boys would like volunteer to be his security.
Right. Please, Mr. Trump, we'll protect you. But yes, impeach him. Yes, impeach him. Do that. Do all this stuff. But let's also keep in mind that Joe Manchin's talking about rejecting those $2,000 stimulus checks. And let's remember what's really important here. Like, impeach Trump, but that's like I don't know. There's like, oh, you got the stimulus checks. You've got the mounting Chinese problem. You've got, let's get air travel back. You know, I've got money. I want to go on a trip to like Malaysia or something. And I can't, let's like, you know.
You've got.
I want to destroy Trump's life. And I am confident in our American ability to do so. But let's get the important shit out of the way. Honestly, the amount of effort that's being, I mean, I get it.
And I get that. I get that point, Nick. But I think you can't just dismiss the fact that a sitting president of the United States incited a mob to raid the Capitol. That's kind of a big thing. That's kind of important.
Oh, definitely. And impeach him. I'm just saying, like, all right, if this impeachment's gonna,
because we're not even sure where this is gonna go or fully end. I mean, because currently, like, the government is, you know, after last week, they're finally pretending like they're taking shit seriously, but they're talking about how they're supposedly going to be armed protests / riots at all 50 capitals around the United States next week leading up to the inauguration.
And my stance is like, all right, yeah, just shoot those people, just kill those people dead, but we need to have the paperwork for DC and Puerto Rico to become states in before the end of February, Joe. Like, we need that in. We need to get that in. I don't trust how long that'll take. And February and 2022, I don't know what the fuck's going on. We need Puerto Rico and DC's paperwork for statehood. We need that in by the end of February, Joe. And impeachment, like, I want to, like, listen, I want Trump, I want him dead. I want him dead and in the ground. Because I'm sure he fucked kids with Epstein. But I also want all the other things to happen. And it's like, guys, this is like if we don't get A, we can't get to B. If we don't get B, we're not going to get to C. If we don't get C, we're not going to get to D. And so, once again, it's like, guys, we got to get that DC and Puerto Rico state, got to be in. It's got to be in. Joe Biden, if Joe Biden has to have all the paperwork for that shit drawn up right now. If he doesn't, then
do you think, Nick, all these Trump supporters are going to keep wilding out and going crazy even after January 20th.
I'm saying it cannot be allowed to interfere with Puerto Rico
everything else.
It can't be. I don't care how many people need to be gunned down in the streets. I don't care if they have to drive a tank through and crush people, grind them up, wash them off of the streets with a fire hose the next day. But it's like, listen, man, I can't bank on the Republican Party imploding, and I know that they're going to try to suppress the votes for the next election. They're like, holy shit, did you see how many black people voted in 2020? We can't let that ever happen again. And so I'm saying Puerto Rico and D.C., we need to have them be states as soon as possible. We need those 4 other senators in there so that we can... If we got to pack that court, baby, if we got to, I know Joe Biden doesn't want to, but... Fuck it, he might die and Kamala Harris might become president. and then it's like, come on, girl, you know where this is going. Joe Biden's white. He couldn't see how vindictive these people are going to be, but Kamala, you know how fucked up these people are going to get in 2024. We got to pack that court. We got to get every advantage we can. We got to make gerrymandering illegal. Threaten the Supreme Court. Be like, you all rule against gerrymandering or we will pack this court and we will have this talk again.
Yeah, fuck gerrymandering, man.
Gotta do it. Get rid of it. We need a new Voting Rights Act. We need to make it so that
every district in America should just be a fucking square.
You're registered to vote when you get your driver's license. You get your driver's license when you turn... You get your driver's license or an ID when you turn 18. You don't gotta go get one. The state just fucking mails you one. Because they know where you are and they know who you are. They know everything about you because they know where your money is and they'll kill you if they don't get your money. And so...
Yeah, just like having to register to vote is stupid.
All of this is horse shit, and it will remain horse shit if we don't get this stuff done. And so, yes, it's like fucking impeachment. Yeah, sure, whatever. But I would let Trump get $500,000 a year for the rest of his life if we got some of this shit through. That's what's freaking me out.
I think
we haven't even talked about Democrats winning Georgia or Parler.
Oh man, yeah. Well, Democrats did win Georgia, so that was a win for us. Feels good.
Got a black senator?
Yeah.
That's a win for me personally. I don't know how you feel about that.
First black senator from the South, I believe, right?
Got a 33-year-old Jewish guy in there, too,
yep.
Which has got me... I'm like, John Ossoff's 4 years older than me, and I'm pretty sure I could take him in a fight. And I'm like, that guy's senator? I think you might see.
I don't know. He took Kelly Loeffler in a fight, so I think he can take you in a fight. No, sorry. Kelly Loeffler was running against Raphael Warnock. He beat David Perdue.
I think I got a better jump shot than John Ossoff.
Yeah, listen, that good news because, now it's 50-50 tied in the Senate.
And Joe Manchin has said he will not support these checks.
Oh. Well, at least, so it's 50-50 tie, and then we got a tiebreaker with Kamala. But that does mean the Democratic Party has to vote tightly together, which is going to get iffy when all the conservative Democrats start pulling shit.
We have so many people in Congress who are going to die before the next election of old age. And that's what's so fucked up. Schumer, Pelosi, McConnell... Rand Paul doesn't need any of this shit. Rand Paul has been a senator for fucking fun his entire life. He doesn't actually care about any of this shit. Now you got Jim Jordan out there trying to defend himself in Ohio. And here's like Joe Manchin in West Virginia now saying like, we need to start being fiscally conservative in the middle of a pandemic. That's what, now's the time that I as a Democrat have decided that fiscal and I'm just like, well, this is because we have a death cult in Congress of people who are in their 80s who don't care about anything and nothing matters to them. Like, these people don't care at all. Mitch McConnell is burning the Republican Party apart, and he's like, I'm like 78, bro. I'm out of office when I'm 84 years old. I'm not running again, and I'm marrying a Chinese woman who's selling out American interests. Like, who cares? Who cares? Yeah, I'm ruining the Republican Party. What are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? Oh, you're going to impeach me from Kentucky? Good luck, you fat, stupid idiots. And I'm like, Mitch McConnell, I'm seeing Mitch McConnell do this to my enemies. And I'm like, this is fucked up. This is fucked up. I didn't know the people of Kentucky hated this man that they voted into power. I didn't know Lindsey Graham's constituents hated him so much. I didn't know all of these things were like that.
Yet they vote for them.
Yet they vote for them in a landslide.
That's why they don't give a fuck. They're like, you can hate me and then you still vote for me, so I don't care.
Lindsey Graham's like, oh, geez, I sure hope I get a 9th term as a senator. And it's like, 9th or whatever. There's no lessons to be learned here. There's nothing. There's no everyone doesn't. Nothing matters. like losing my mind over how much nothing matters. The police budgets don't matter. The Capitol Police don't matter. The American military budget doesn't matter. We have 1 billion guns. Every other country has like, oh, we might have 1 million guns, and it's like we have 1 billion guns, and it doesn't matter. We have the best surveillance. We've created surveillance apparatuses that the Chinese government looks at and they're like, holy shit, did you see that they got face matching and yet people get in the Capitol building, oh shit, it's Pelosi's desk, take off their mask, wow, at the camera, blah 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 blah, just hacking the State Department, who gives a shit? And it's like America became a post-ironic country in the last 2 weeks. Like, I walked into a woman today, and she was like, it's crazy, the pandemic's still happening, isn't it? And I was like, yeah, everyone's just forgot. Yeah, we're in Florida. I uploaded a video the other day of us being in me going out to a bar, and everyone else everywhere around the country was like, what the fuck is this? What are you doing? How are you just out? And I'm like, everyone in Florida is so overwhelmed with this nonsense that we've just forgotten. Everyone's like so tired.
There's just so much. It's been 4 to 5 years of just straight, nonstop, everything is overwhelming. Like, there's just too much happening all at once to even know what's happening.
And so I go and I try to look up my news on Parler. Because I'm trying to relax. I'm trying to get away from the hustle and bustle of Twitter and the censorship of Facebook and the left-leaning bias of Reddit. So I get on Parler.
Parler, the social media company that had been started to try and offer an alternative to the conservative crowd. A company that, probably was thinking it would be financially successful with this newfound fan group they found. But couldn't spend the money to build their own servers.
Yeah, it's so Parler didn't learn from Gab. Yeah, because Gab got deplatformed. Remember back when Gab used to be on AWS, or Gab used to be on Azure's backend, and then a couple neo-Nazi groups. This was around the time of the Charlottesville riot, I believe. But a couple neo-Nazi groups, they start talking, they start drawing up some Kekistani plans, and Gab gets in trouble. And people are like, Gab, you have neo-Nazis planning direct violence on your platform, which is always what they say. And I never want to side with law enforcement, because I always say that they're always saying this stuff just because it's convenient. Like, oh, you're supporting violence, so we need to stop you from supporting violence. But, so Gab got taken down, and they refused to take their stuff down, so then you do the next thing you do is you go to the higher up. So you go to Microsoft, because Microsoft hosted Gab's backend. There's backend in all these websites, There's either you have a bunch of servers that you bought and built yourself, or you're paying someone else to do that. And there's this bizarre trend in America of compartmentalization amongst industries where everyone's trying to outsource as much of their thinking and having to maintenance. There's a bunch of infrastructure as a service businesses, software as a service, functionality as a service businesses.
Parler basically didn't want to build its own infrastructure, so to save money, they paid Amazon to host their website.
Amazon, a company
who has been attacked by Trump for 4 years.
A company run by a man that it is believed bought an entire newspaper just to talk shit
about Trump.
Jeff Bezos was like, I'm kind of interested in news. I'm kind of interested in journalism, but I also really like talking shit on Elon Musk and Donald Trump. And
yeah,
you know what?
Jeff Bezos stepped in and he was like, all right, Washington Post, you don't even have to worry about making money anymore because I'm just going to foot this entire bill. You can report whatever you want, but just find time to shit on Trump in the middle of all your reporting.
And Elon.
Who
deserves it.
And then and everything else you do, I don't give a fuck. Here's your fucking $500 million every year to run this operation.
Right? Jeff Bezos just walked in and he's like, so what's this? So what's your like operational cost? And they pull out like, all right, so here it is. It's and he just grabs it and throws it and tries to no. You work for me now. We live in a land without rules. But
yeah, so
he just puts his finger on their lips. He's like, no. Listen, we're gonna upend democracy. You see that? And he points at the New York Times and he's like, we're gonna destroy them. They're still governed by money and subscription fees and rules and laws and morality. We have none of that here. Not at Amazon. No, this is...
So this is the man that Trump has been attacking for the past 4 years. So then you have Parler emerge, who is home to most of the Trump crowd. That's where they've gone after they've been kicked out of Facebook or Twitter for saying fake shit.
It's not the fake shit that got them in trouble. It was the, like, hey, here's Gretchen Whitmer's address type shit.
Yeah, so I mean, you can say all the crazy shit you want. It's just, you got to make sure that maybe you're not depending on a company that hates you to run your website.
Right? Like, if I get taken down for some of the stuff that I say on this show, like, chop Mitch McConnell's head off with a lawnmower blade, which is not something I believe in, but is like an example of a sentence someone might say to get in trouble.
Total example.
If we got taken down, I completely understand how to go around Spotify, go to like Liberated Syndication or Podbean or some other hosting service who won't take me down for saying shit like that. It's like, I know that if YouTube takes this down, I can go to BitChute. I can go to some company that doesn't have a content ID service. I can host the video myself. I can find a CDN, a content delivery network, where I'm just paying them to distribute the video, and they don't even look at what the video is. The point is, though, in all of this, that what bothers me the most out of all of this is the bizarre religious need to constitutionalize everything that's happening right now. Is our social media... is anyone allowed to do this? Is Amazon allowed to pull Parler's web hosting? And the problem is all these companies come in on a principled stance. They come in like they got word from Jesus on high. Like, I just read a stone tablet that says that in light of promoting a peaceful and free environment, we need to... Jack Dorsey should have just come out and said straight up, he's like, I think Donald Trump's a dumbass and he's not allowed on my platform. That's it. It's mine. Build your own. It'll suck. But Jack Dorsey should have just said, I personally don't like this man. And that's it. That's all the argument you're going to get. Cue up your lawyers. Read me a bunch of laws that you don't fucking know the meaning of. No. That's where all of these companies went wrong. Is they all tried to have this principled stance. YouTube to this day is like, well, every time we've taken one of your videos down, Nick, it's because we're trying to like prevent racism or something. And it's like, just say it's our servers and fuck you. Like, just say that. If I go into a McDonald's and I act like an asshole, they'll tell me to leave. They'll tell me to leave, and they don't have to come up with some reason why every American deserves to not go hungry at night. Or, like, I can't get on a soapbox. They'll just, like, get the fuck out. You're not entitled to chicken nuggets, you asshole. And everyone yet still is like, oh, Twitter's a human right. And it's like, this man has 8 commercial-grade cameras 10 feet from his desk. He has an entire staff of boom mic operators, lighting operators. He's got a woman who handles his wardrobe. He's got people to get water for the people that operate the equipment in the broadcast room in the next room. He just likes using Twitter. It's his favorite thing. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah, when people have come out this week and they're like, oh, this is terrible because they're silencing Donald Trump. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Every newspaper talks about this guy endlessly. He's all over the news constantly. Like, he can get on TV in a matter of fucking minutes if he wants to. What do you mean we're silencing him?
He has a broadcast room.
Yeah, like, that's what
he has camera switchers. And like he has way more than we have, way more than we could dream of having. He's got more than most TV shows. He's got more than the first season of Friends operated on.
He's got
his house.
He's got a press room that he doesn't use anymore. He's
it's just sitting there collecting dust because Twitter's his favorite thing. I can't even do my favorite thing. You mean I can't just do my, like, it can't be the easiest thing in the world for me? You're telling me that it's, like, gotta be kind of hard? Like, yeah, this is hard. You're lucky. You're so lucky for this shit to be so easy. Maybe I'm saying this because I'm a guy who runs multiple websites where I completely understand the bitchiness of dealing with making up your own backend and stuff. But this shit was never meant to be easy. All that did was convince the people that are lazy that it is this easy. But it's not. If you want to fucking have a means of... If you want to be able to say bullshit and have it hit 6 billion people's ears at once, guess what, bro? I'm sorry if it's a little bit of legwork. We're all trying to get big out here. Oh, I can't even use Twitter. I can't even use my favorite thing. And it's like, you don't have to use it. You're just using it because all the comedians are on it. If they weren't all, like...
Yeah, like, I guess Trump can say whatever he wants in any form at any time.
Make a Twitter clone.
He's gotta spend some time building and backing up his own site.
You're telling me Ryan Reynolds can make a cell phone carrier, Mint Mobile, but Trump can't make a Twitter clone? It's like, dude, there's like Yugoslavian kids can make a Twitter clone in their fucking basement. Mastodon, get on that. That shit's federated. But actually,
and all this, and this goes back, and this just comes back to what we started with. All this leads back to, that's what's funny about Parler. They were trying to clone Twitter. Because Parler wasn't set up like Twitter?
Yeah.
But they didn't want to do the legwork.
They didn't. And, like, now Gab got deplatformed a few years ago. So Gab is like, we have our own servers. We have our own content delivery network. We have our own fulfillment. We use Bitcoin because fuck Visa, fuck MasterCard. And I hear that, and I don't care how many Nazis are on Gab. I'm like, yes. And you know what? Long tail... I want Parler to survive. I want Parler to survive this. I want Parler to build out their own version. I want Parler to build out a Visa competitor, and I want them to sell it to other crazy people. I don't care. I don't want Visa. I'm fine with that. I want a MasterCard.
Well, you don't have to build a Visa competitor. You just use.
Well, Stripe won't do payment fulfillments now for Parler.
Just use cryptos.
But Bitcoin is a very recent way to get around this nonsense.
I mean, not just Bitcoin. I mean, there are hundreds of different crypto technologies that you can start using.
But that's weird to ask a normal... If I told you right now to send me $20 on Ethereum, how many steps would it take for you to do that? You don't even know.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
Yeah, it would take... I currently don't have the necessary means to be able to do that.
Exactly. And so when it's not just, hey...
But hey, man, if you want to say shit and build your own system, I mean,
I hope Gab gets more power. And I say this knowing full well that Gab is filled with people who use the N-word. It is filled with people who want there to be a white race. It's filled with anti-Semites. And don't come at me with your bullshit of, oh, it's not all that. Like, listen, people, I've been stewing in this shit for, like, 15 years. I've been on the internet since I was 8 years old in 98. All right? I've been doing this shit for a while. It's like, I know how fucked up people are. I don't care. It's good for the internet. If we put Visa and MasterCard on their fucking heels, it's good. It's good. We need this. And if this crazy Civil War-like event is what we need to actually have people realize how fucked up the hold that Visa and MasterCard have on us is, then so be it. It's worth it. And if all that happened is a bunch of Trump supporters killed a bunch of other Trump supporters, a small price to pay. You know what? I'll gladly let 10,000 Trump supporters die at the hands of Trump supporters if it means that we take down Visa, if it means we take down MasterCard. You know what? I'll let it. There's what, 77 million of them? As many as it takes. As many as it takes for Visa and MasterCard to learn. I'll proudly and happily sacrifice these lives that aren't mine.
I mean, I guess the best way to take down Visa is stop using Visa. We all got to figure out how to use cryptocurrency so Visa doesn't control us.
Hey, listen, Parler, you build a way to send money over the internet without having to get Visa or MasterCard involved, I will use it. I will. I don't care. Yeah. I remember those ads back when people were downloading music where they were like, you know, when you use your money on the internet, you're supporting like terrorism. You remember those?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you spent money online, you're like helping terrorists. You use eBay, that money's going to Al Qaeda. I will send Al Qaeda $1,000 over whatever system that Parler makes if it would allow me to, just as a fuck you to Venmo and PayPal, just as an absolute middle finger. I will give the Taliban or Boko Haram. I don't even know which one of these groups is evil anymore.
I guess so. Some more moral of the story here is, you know, you can say whatever the fuck you want on the internet. You just got to do the legwork, build your own system.
Gotta be ready to be.
You can't be mad at Twitter and Facebook for telling you that you can't say shit on their website. You just gotta. Facebook did the legwork. They built the site. You gotta do your own legwork if you want to say whatever crazy shit you want to say. And then once you have, then say whatever crazy shit you wanted to say, right?
Yeah, and I mean, hey, TikTok showed us it can happen. It doesn't have to be this way. Like we told Facebook said, hey, we've got fleets or whatever. We've got stories, Instagrams, or Twitters. Like, we got fleets. We've got, like, we'll steal every idea TikTok has. We'll call them Chinese propaganda. We'll make them.
Well, Instagram tried to do Reels.
Yeah.
But the Reels is usually just fucking screenshots of TikTok videos.
We did everything in our power, including calling it un-American, to use TikTok. We were like, you're hurting your mother. You're hurting your sister. You're killing Uyghur Muslims you don't even know. Please just use Instagram. And that TikTok is funny, bro. You ever get on there? There's someone with a fidget spinner. They're like, ooh, wow, ooh. I don't know. I've never actually been on TikTok myself. But the point is, like, you know, against all odds, if you had asked me 5 years ago, will there ever be something that can kill Facebook? I would have been like, I don't know, man. After they bought Instagram, that seemed like our last hope. Now I'm like, if not TikTok, something else will come up. It'll be Jib Jab or some shit in like 10 years. Something I've never heard of. Skim Scamp. Something like
Hoop
that.
Hop.
Whoople Wobble or something. All the kids are on Wooble Wobble. Blah, blah, blah. But you know, in like 3 or 4 years, a bunch of 13-year-olds are going to become millionaires. And we're going to be like, how did those 13-year-olds, why are they... It's not even that they're driving Ferraris. They shouldn't be driving. They're 13. And they're going to be like, oh, you didn't hear? They got rich on Gingle Gangle. And it's like, yeah, it's fucking 2026. It's cyberpunk as fuck out here, I guess.
Yeah. Things are getting wild, man. America's different. It's changing every day. It's probably not going to get better. It's probably just going to continue getting worse.
Yeah. Hey. Sheldon Adelson's dead, bro.
Sheldon Adelson is dead.
He was taxed at 100%.
The 1,078-year-old billionaire.
He was only
out of
87.
Vegas.
He is the Republican Party's richest donor.
Yep.
This is actually, it's funny. I'm trying not to laugh at the dead, but
we've been laughing at the dead the whole episode.
It is funny that this is actually a significant blow to the Republican donor base. It's like the richest Republican donor is dead. This is like when Kobe died and every black person felt it on Earth. Every black person was like, "Oh, he had like $1 billion." And we're like, like he represented like 1% of all black wealth on the planet, you know? When Kobe died, when Sheldon Adelson died, neocons across the country, Romney and McCain Republicans across the country were like, ooh, I feel like I just lost like $50,000 permanently. Like I'm not gonna get it back. Whew.
I mean, yeah, the Republican Party just lost a lot of money, and one of the Koch brothers died a couple years back. So I mean, all their money is now what, flowing out of one man, the one Koch left funding the Republican Party.
Who's the new Republican money? They got Peter Thiel and Peter Thiel's clones that he makes of himself.
I don't know. Once all the old billionaires are dead, is there going to be anyone left to fund the Republican Party?
I don't know. I don't know if Elon can ever go full Republican because of his apartheid backgrounds. You know?
Yeah.
I genuinely think that the fact that it's like Elon
has Elon or any of Elon's affiliated companies given money to political parties?
I have to imagine he must have. He's done a lot of construction in Texas and Nevada. Like,
so he's probably like sliding like Ted Cruz money.
Yeah, like I don't even think it's I don't even like hold it against him. He's just got so much real estate for the rockets and the battery factory. He's got to have greased some palms for those things.
Yeah.
But everyone does it. I guess that's it. Oh, and finally, Rudy Giuliani, I believe, got disbarred as of a few hours ago from the New York bar.
That's good to hear.
Mm-hmm. So
that man has been spouting nonsense and bleeding hair dye down the side of his fucking face for 6 months now.
So now when you look at Giuliani, you can just say, you're just Giuliani. You're just Giuliani. Not a lawyer, not a mayor. You're just some dude. Just some drippy fucking old dude. Torched his entire legacy like that. I don't know of another American. I feel like if you had asked me in like 2002 if I respected Rudy Giuliani as an 11 or 12-year-old kid, I think I would have been like, yeah, I've heard of Giuliani. He seems like a good guy. To think of where we're at now.
Yeah, to go from being the mayor of what's considered one of the, largest and most important cities in the world to where he is now, to a man who is like a blooper reel in a fucking Sacha Baron Cohen film. Like, yeah, man, that man's fallen off. He's...
Yeah, all right. I guess that's it.
It's been wild, man.
Until next time, when hopefully America... hopefully those stimmy checks have gone out, because that camera wasn't cheap. But,
I mean, if some of the things play out like the FBI is saying it will, we might have a full-scale revolution when we record this next episode.
And when we started recording, there was only... All right, when we first started writing the notes for this episode, there was only 13 arrests at the Capitol Hill riots, and everyone was pulling their hair out over that number. 13? 13? I've seen more people get arrested at a Little League game. And now, though, the number is approaching 200.
There's currently like 200 investigations going. They haven't made arrests in every case yet.
But from the no-fly list arrests, which are very funny.
Oh, those videos of
put them in the National Archive.
Those Karens who were freaking out because they got kicked off of planes because they were on the no-fly list was gold.
The people getting kicked off the planes. And the people landing to having the FBI agents waiting for them. That's oh my God, you're sitting in your holding cell and you see that CNN report that I saw this morning where it's like DC prosecutors are looking for 20 years for everyone seen inside the Capitol. And I'm like, woo-hoo-hoo! Achi-machi, my tax dollars at work, finally. This is the America that I've been paying for my whole life. And at the age of 29, I finally got to experience it.
Yeah, man.
It's not all fun and games locking up people. But Hopefully it is. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. The ball's moving fast on this one. I listened to a podcast that was recorded like the day of the riots, and I was like 5 minutes into Tim Pool, and I was like, this is useless. This is useless. Like, all this info is moving so fast. This podcast might be useless tomorrow.
I mean, I'm all for these people getting arrested and serving a good bit of time, because I just think the audacity of them and the stupidity, like the fact they're like, hey, I can barge into the Capitol, be part of a riot that ends in an officer dead and multiple other people, and then I can just go home like nothing ever happened, fly in an airplane and everything's cool. And I'm not gonna wear a mask. I'm gonna take selfies. I'm not gonna wear a mask. I'm gonna publish on social media that I was there, and then I'm just gonna walk home to my walk back to my hotel, spend a couple more nights in DC, enjoy the rest of my vacation. Then I'm gonna hop on an airplane, fly home, go on my merry way, pretend like I was never part of a riot that ended in deaths and was trying to overthrow the government. Like the balls, the gall that these people had to just be like, I didn't do anything wild. Why shouldn't I be able to fly first class back to Oklahoma and eat a fucking steak on the airplane? Like, go fuck yourselves. You're all idiots. Like, you did a bad thing. You can't just enjoy the rest of your vacation and then fly home in first class and pretend like nothing ever happened.
Right.
Like, you're stupid.
I'm going to leave them with the words. I'll leave them with what my last words were when I stood with 8,000 people on the front steps of City Hall as 2,200 cops from 4 neighboring counties all barreled down on us, zip ties in hand, with the paddy wagons and the tear gas in tow. And what I said right before I was arrested with hundreds of people was, they can't arrest all of us.
And they arrested all of you.
I was binned with 303 other men. Locked in a... I'll never... If I was at the Capitol that day, I might have broken a window. I might have yelled. I would have not entered that building. And I would have remembered. I would have remembered 19-year-old Nick the day that he was like, they can't arrest all of us. And yes, they will, because they've got nothing better to do. All right. This has been a fun app. Oh, where's that remote? Oh, it's in the pocket. Well, till next time.
Till next time, folks.